Okay, let's see, what do we have in here? Problem type 3, another example. These people say that calculating the cosecant of an angle minus sine of that same angle divided by 1 plus cosine of that angle is the same thing as calculating cotangent of the angle. So let's start with the left-hand side of the equation and try to get to cotangent. Okay, this is a rather long one, just as the other example of type 3. The first thing we will have to do, I choose this on purpose because when you see a denominator like this one, where you think maybe it's a Pythagorean, but we don't have the square, because we could use this Pythagorean identity if we have the squares, because that would be sine squared of the angle would be 1 minus cosine squared. But first, we don't have the square and we don't have the negative in the cosine, so we cannot use it. But what we will do is multiplying by 1. Do you remember that multiplying by 1 is the same as doing nothing? Things remain the same when you multiply by 1. But that will be a special one, not any one, not anyone. Let me make it a little bit bigger. That one will be, it can be in many shapes, but it will be 1 that is convenient for us. It will be 1 minus cosine squared. I'm sorry, 1 minus cosine divided by 1 minus cosine. Do you agree that dividing this thing over itself equals 1? All right, so that is a little trick we use sometimes to have something that is convenient for us. So the denominator will be sine times 1 minus cosine, right? And the denominator is a factorization that is famous. It is called difference of squares. If you remember, let me put it in here. If you remember, if you multiply a plus b times a minus b, that will be equal to a squared minus b squared, difference of squares, right? So, okay, I'm going to hurry up because this is still a long road. So that will be 1 minus cosine squared of x. The 1 is because 1 times 1 is 1, right? Okay, so we already have what we wanted to use this Pythagorean identity. But first, let us select in here that we used this algebraic trick, and let's validate it. Now we can use this one that we already said. This will be cosecant of x minus division sine of x times 1 minus cosine of x. And that 1 minus cosine of x is the same as sine squared of x. This is what happened. And that is a Pythagorean identity. Validate. And let's continue. Let me move this up to continue making progress with this. Now, as you can see in here, we have sine in the numerator and sine also in the denominator, but it is squared, so I will cancel them. Sine divided by sine equals 1. Cosecant of x minus, in the numerator we will only have 1 minus cosine of x, and in the denominator we still have a sine of x. That is just an algebraic manipulation. Validate. Oh boy, I moved everything. Yeah, so this will go up and this will be raised. Now, we're almost done. Cosecant, let's do something with that cosecant. Cosecant is 1 over sine, right? So let's change that one with a reciprocal identity, sine of x, the minus 1 minus cosine of x divided by sine of x, right? So that is reciprocal, validate. And let me change this. This is no longer useful. And this is what I did, right? With the reciprocal identity. Now, when you have an addition or a subtraction with the same denominator, you can just like express that thing as a single fraction with the same denominator, right? Sine of x. And in the numerator, we will have 1 minus, be careful with that negative sign, 1 minus cosine of x. I'm going to mark this negative sign because you have to be careful when doing these kind of things. And as you can see, after doing that, well, I'm going to I'm going to select the rule that I did. That is an algebraic, just putting together two fractions with the same denominator. And next, moving on. What happened? Yeah, that's what happened. And then, yes, you can see that you have in here 1 minus 1, and this will be, well, if you distribute this, it will be 1 minus 1, that will be 0. And then positive cosine, right? So I will have in here just positive cosine divided by sine of x, and that is also an algebraic manipulation. Validate. I don't know if it worked. Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's what happened. And finally, we're done because cosine of x divided by sine of x is equal to cotangent. That's what we wanted. So I can say that this is cotangent. And I'm going to validate, well, select the rule. It is a quotient identity. Validate. And we are done. Check. Did you like it? This was difficult, I have to admit it. Come on, Alex. Yes, sir. Thank you.